Commanders fans, welcome back to the channel. Let me start with this. Our Washington Commanders are grinding every single day to get better, sharper, and stronger. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters are building a culture where no stone is left unturned, and this team is fighting to bring results that will make all of you proud. If you love the direction this team is heading, if you want to see us break through this adversity and come out swinging, hit that like button right now. It helps us keep building the biggest Commanders community right here on YouTube. Now, let's dive into the headline everyone is talking about. Jayden Daniels is back. After 2 long weeks away with a knee injury, he's been cleared, he's practicing fully, and he's set to return to the field this Sunday against the Los Angeles Chargers. And the timing couldn't be more important. Commanders Nation, let's be real. Last week's loss to the Atlanta Falcons stung. The offense looked flat, the defense gave up too many explosive plays, and the team just couldn't get into rhythm. That's where Jayden comes in. His return isn't just about completing passes or running the football. It's about changing the entire identity of this offense. Remember, when Jayden is on the field, the defense has to account for his legs, his creativity, and his ability to extend plays. That kind of presence gives us something we've been missing: control. Control of the tempo, control of the field position, and most importantly, control of the scoreboard. But here's the challenge. Jayden is stepping back into a lineup that looks very different from the last time he played. Injuries have absolutely decimated this roster. Right now, Washington is missing 5 starters from week 1. That's half a lineup's worth of talent gone. When Jayden last played, Nick Allegretti and Brendan Coleman were protecting him at guard. Now it's Andrew Wiley and Chris Paul. Terry McLaurin is still sidelined, Noah Brown is out again, and Sam Cosmi isn't ready to return. Every week, the lineup shuffles, and every week, Jayden has to adapt. That's a huge test for any quarterback, let alone a rookie. Now, fans, let's address the elephant in the room. This offense, with or without Jayden, has struggled with 2 major issues. 1. Third downs. Washington ranks 5th worst in the entire NFL in third down conversion rate. That means too many drives are stalling early. You can't win games in this league if you can't keep drives alive. And 2. Penalties. The Commanders sit in the bottom third for penalties, and most of them are killers. False starts, holds, unnecessary mistakes that wipe out big plays. It's self-sabotage, plain and simple. Jayden can't fix those issues by himself. That's on the offensive line, the discipline of the receivers, and the ability of the coaching staff to get this unit operating smoothly. But Jayden does give this offense a margin for error. His ability to make something out of nothing can erase mistakes, and that's why his return matters so much. And here's the underrated storyline. When Jayden Daniels is in the lineup, it doesn't just help the offense, it helps the defense too. Think about it. The defense has been struggling to prevent explosive pass plays. Opponents are scoring quickly and often. But if Jayden can sustain drives, keep the offense on the field longer, and even give the Commanders an early lead, that allows the defense to play with confidence instead of constantly chasing. A quarterback doesn't just manage the offense. He changes the way the entire team functions. That's why Sunday against the Chargers is such a big deal. The Los Angeles Chargers aren't an easy out. Justin Herbert has one of the best arms in the league, and even though the Chargers have been inconsistent, they're dangerous. For Washington to pull this off, Daniels will need to show maturity beyond his years. He'll have to manage the game, avoid turnovers, and take advantage of every red zone opportunity. But here's the truth. This game isn't just about beating LA. It's about proving that Washington can rise above injuries, adversity, and sloppy mistakes. This game is about setting the tone for the rest of the season. Now, let's pivot for a moment because there's another storyline that shows how aggressive this front office is being. According to Adam Schefter, the Commanders are hosting former 49ers second-round pick Drake Jackson for a free agent visit. Let me give you some context here. Jackson was a second-round pick back in 2022 when Adam Peters was still in San Francisco's front office. That connection matters. Jackson showed promise early, recording 3 sacks in each of his first 2 seasons before a devastating patellar tendon tear in 2023. That injury derailed his career, and for a while people questioned whether he'd ever play football again. But now, he's medically cleared, he's hungry for a second chance, and he's coming to Washington for a visit. And here's why it makes sense. Washington has already lost Dietrich Wise and Javonte Jean-Baptiste to injured reserve. They signed Preston Smith 2 weeks ago, but he hasn't been active yet. The team needs depth at edge rusher, and Jackson fits the mold of a Peters-style move, low risk, high upside. Most likely Jackson would start on the practice squad to get back into football shape, but with his pedigree, his connection to Peters, and the Commanders' need for help at defensive end, don't be surprised if this signing happens quickly. This is what I love about what Adam Peters is doing. He's not just reacting to problems, he's anticipating them. Injuries are part of the NFL, and when you lose multiple edge rushers early in the year, you can't just sit still. You have to find guys who can contribute now or down the road. Drake Jackson might not be the final answer, but this kind of move shows that Washington isn't content with excuses. They're searching every corner of the league to build the strongest roster possible, and that's the type of culture fans should feel encouraged by. When Washington traded a fifth-round pick to the 49ers for Deebo Samuel, the move was seen as low risk, high reward. After all, San Francisco had already moved on in their minds. They had no intention of keeping Deebo beyond 2025. He was coming off a season filled with criticism, questions about his conditioning, about his effort, about whether he was still motivated. But Adam Peters, who knew Deebo well from his years in San Francisco's front office, believed there was still gas left in the tank. He trusted that in the right environment, with the right culture and motivation, Deebo could find himself again. And Commanders Nation, that bet looks like a brilliant one right now. Through the early stretch of the 2025 season, Deebo has been explosive, versatile, and locked in. He's been running with purpose, catching everything thrown his way, and bringing that trademark toughness after the catch that made him such a nightmare for defenses in his prime. If he keeps this up, he's on pace for over 1,000 all-purpose yards between rushing and receiving. For a fifth-round pick, that's a steal. So, why the turnaround? A few things stand out. First, the fresh start. Sometimes players just need a change of scenery. In San Francisco, the narrative had already turned against Deebo. In Washington, he came in with a clean slate and something to prove.
Second, the culture. Dan Quinn has emphasized accountability and competition since day one. This locker room doesn't allow passengers. You either buy in or you get left behind. Deebo clearly bought in. Third, the opportunity. With Terry McLaurin sidelined by injury and young receivers like Luke McCaffrey still finding their way, Deebo had the chance to step up and be a focal point. He didn't waste it. Now, here's where things get tricky. As good as Deebo has been, his contract situation could cause some serious challenges for the front office. Remember, when Washington acquired him, it wasn't just about getting an immediate boost. It was also about taking on a player in the final year of his deal. Deebo is set to hit free agency in 2026. That means if he keeps producing at this level, his price tag is only going up. Wide receivers who can do what Deebo does, line up everywhere, run the ball, catch screens, go deep, break tackles, those guys don't come cheap. Washington is projected to have around $84 million in cap space next offseason. That sounds like a lot, but here's the reality. Laramie Tunsil is going to need to be taken care of. Frankie Louvu is playing like the heart of this defense. He'll want a payday. Darren Payne will be back at the table soon. And down the road, Jayden Daniels will be extension eligible in 2026. The money goes fast, and if Deebo is demanding top-tier wide receiver money, Peters will have some very tough decisions to make. Now, let's be clear. Having a player outperform expectations is the kind of problem you want as a general manager. Nobody in Washington is upset that Deebo is playing well. Far from it. This team needed him, and he's delivering. But it does force Peters to look at the long-term picture. Do you pay Deebo and commit to him as a central part of the offense for years to come? Or do you view this as a one-year spark and let him walk in free agency, knowing you only gave up a fifth-round pick to get him? There's also the health factor. Deebo has a history of nagging injuries. Betting big money on him long-term comes with risk. Peters has to balance the emotion of seeing Deebo dominate now with the reality of what could happen later. Let's be honest, Commanders fans are already embracing this version of Deebo. You see it in the stands, you hear it in the crowd noise when he makes a big play, and you feel it in the locker room energy. He's the kind of player who brings juice, not just with his production, but with his swagger. For a team trying to build an identity under Dan Quinn, that's invaluable. Deebo's renaissance is more than just stats. It's about setting a tone. And right now, the tone he's setting is that this Washington offense is not to be taken lightly. So here we are, Sunday in Los Angeles. Jayden Daniels is back, and he's carrying the weight of this team on his shoulders. Injuries have hit hard, McLaurin, Brown, Cosme, and others, but Jayden gives this group a chance to compete, a chance to reset, and a chance to prove that Washington can weather the storm and still come out swinging. But the big question is this: can Jayden Daniels' return absolve Washington of its issues? Can one rookie quarterback cover up the third down struggles, the penalties, the injuries, and lead this team to victory on the road? Or are we asking too much from him too soon? And what about the Drake Jackson visit? Do you think Adam Peters should take a chance on him? Or should Washington look elsewhere for pass rush help? I want to hear what you think, Commanders fans. Drop your comments below because this community is all about your voices. And before you go, if you're fired up for Jayden's return, if you believe in this team's resilience, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We've got more exclusive news, analysis, and insider updates coming your way, and you don't want to miss it. Commanders Nation, buckle up. Sunday is going to be a battle. Let's see if Jayden Daniels can be the spark that turns this season around.